everybody. A lot of people log on or sign in. So we'll keep a recording. We can send that out to anybody who wasn't able to make it. But first off, Kelly, thanks for joining us. We're going to do a series here of what I want to do is just interview. The whole thing we're doing here is interviewing some top producers in our market. You definitely being one of them. And just like get a little background, get a little history, and then what are you doing in the market right now as we shifted out of the COVID period into where we're at currently, and we'll dive into all of that. So we'll do these probably maybe not every other week, maybe every 3 weeks or so, but just to give you a little tidbit there. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody, and Kelly will get rolling. So kind of the first question off the bat, everybody asking New Orleans. So give us some background. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to high school?
Where to go to high school? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, first, I just want to say thanks, Cameron, for having me on. I'm honored and super flattered to be the first guest speaker of the series. I think it's going to be super cool and successful. So I'm excited about getting on and hearing everybody else in the next several of these that we do. So thank you so much. It's a good idea, and I'm excited about it. So I am from the New Orleans area. I'm actually born and raised on the West Bank, actually born in New Orleans at Baptist Hospital. So born in New Orleans, raised on the West Bank, and took a brief hiatus after Katrina to North Louisiana, but I've been back here now for 10 years. So yeah, I did not go to high school. Well, I started high school on the West Bank, didn't at Blank, and I didn't enjoy it so much. So I ended up graduating from École Classique in Metairie, which is still around today. So
yeah, absolutely. I don't think I've ever asked you this. You don't speak French, do you?
No, and it's a French named school, but it's not a French school. So we didn't even have French class. I had Spanish class and no French at the time that I was there.
Gotcha. Well, okay. So how'd you get rolling in real estate then?
So when we came back here, I considered real estate like when I first got out of college. I was 21 and newly married, and we lived in Baton Rouge, and I considered it, but not for very long. I just was like, I don't know anybody in the business. It's more school. I don't want to go back to school. There were no online courses at that point. I'm going to date myself here. And so didn't pursue it, kind of kick myself now that I didn't. But then fast forward years later, we moved back to New Orleans after Katrina, after being gone. And we had 2 agents that helped us with our first transaction back here in New Orleans. We just got to talking one day. I really liked them. And we started talking about real estate, and they were like, hey, if you ever consider your license, then come on over and join our team. We're always looking for, somebody to handle buyers. And so we had a really good experience with them helping us. And then just in our conversation, I decided, all right, let me do some classes. So did all the online stuff that was available and immediately joined their team when I got my license, which I just looked up the date, June the 2nd, 2016. So almost exactly 7 years.
Go. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So 7 years in the business. Now, what were you doing before real estate?
I was a teacher and I coached volleyball. I also did a lot of admin type jobs over the years. I think my favorite thing though was teaching and coaching. I kind of realized that was if I had known that I wanted to teach high school age kids when I was in college, I would have totally done that, and maybe never tried real estate actually, because I'd probably still be doing still be teaching and coaching. But I really enjoyed that. But I kind of decided once, we had kids, and it would be nice to have something that could be a little more flexible throughout the year, not just like summers off kind of thing. So real estate was a good fit for that as well.
So you went from teaching, then you jumped right into real estate full time?
Yeah, well, in a way, yes, because I was, when we first moved back here, I worked at the kids' school that they started attending, but I wasn't teaching. I was just doing like
Yeah.
admin, front office. But then I homeschooled my kids for 2 years. Like my first year of my real estate license, I was actually homeschooling my kids and trying to grow a real estate business. And
Yeah.
so
All
that
right. You
was,
had your hands full.
yes, that was a little bit. I didn't know. I didn't know how much that was gonna be, but I realized could not
Yeah.
sustain both.
Well, so kind of walk us through let's start with the first 3 years. First 2 years, you were homeschooling and real estate. Kind of how did your progression start? You've been in it for 7.
Mhm.
Let's start with the first 3 and then let's go to 5 and let's go to today.
Okay. Okay, so I only homeschooled and did it for a year. Like it was my first year, was my second year of homeschooling. So it was only a year that I was trying to kind of really get going. And I was on a team at that time and I was a buyer agent only. So it was it actually worked really well for me to start out and be on a team, just because I'm sorry, y'all. If my dog barks,
Yeah.
she's under the table with me, and someone is probably walking in
We
front of my
all work from everywhere. We get it.
house. She wants to sit right at my feet. So, anyways, so I where was it? Oh yeah, joined the team. And for me, that was the best route to get started. I don't necessarily think everyone should join a team, but if it's something available to you, it helped me just to be able to watch these seasoned agents who I was working with who did both listing and buying sides of their transactions. So I stepped in, kind of took a baby step and was just helping buyers. And the whole idea of listing kind of freaked me out, honestly, just because you're interviewing for a job in many ways when you're on a listing appointment, unless you just know that person and they're like, you're listing my house no matter what. You're, and you have to just know, you have to know your market, you have to know your business because you're competing with other agents. You want to be
Yeah.
knowledgeable, you want to help your client. I mean, it's their biggest, probably best investment that they have. So it's a lot of pressure. So that freaked me out a little bit, but it allowed me to kind of watch them, do all of the aspects of real estate while I was assisting with some buyers that they would help give me leads for. Or I was also trying to just build my own business and grow my personal sphere and let everybody I knew know what I was doing. And so that's how I started in that first year. I mean, it was slow, as far as just, you people, I feel like you get into real estate and you just assume you're going to just make a ton of money, which you can. I mean, but not in the first year, not in the second or the third or the fifth year, even necessarily.
Sure.
You just kind of have to get that. It's a mindset thing.
We all
Um,
have aspirations.
oh yeah, yeah, goals for sure, future, whatever, but just, so I mean, I would say the biggest thing for me in the first 2 years was to grow that sphere and just, make sure everybody knew what I was doing, to gain like knowledge, watching other people who like I had the privilege of watching these girls and having weekly meetings with them and just, picking their brain. And I had some weird experiences in my first year as a buyer agent only, that they even were like, oh my gosh, we've been in the business for 8 years
Baptized by fire, right?
and we have never before. And so, at the beginning, but have mentors that can like hold your hand and help you is so important.
Yeah.
And then it's a hustle. So I worked leases. I worked anything that came my way, like anyone who wanted to lease something or, and you think of that as like, it's a lease, I'm not really going to give a lot of effort for this, or I'm not going to, because I'm going to walk away with $200, or, I always say it's a nice steak dinner when you're done with the lease.
Yeah.
But those people, you can look at it two ways. Those people are going to buy one day, likely, if they're staying in this area. And then the other thing is, even if they don't, if they're just perpetual renters, okay, those people know people, like they have a network themselves. So if you give 100% to those clients because they're clients and you're helping them, and that's what we do. That should be our goal. They're gonna notice that, and they're gonna be like, man, this agent, all I was doing was leasing a $1,200 a month condo, and she like showed up for me. She, asked questions for me, and then she kept in touch with me, and so they're gonna know that they're gonna see in that, that you really do want to help people, and your work ethic, and your, all of those things. And they'll either buy one day and remember you, or they're going to give your name to their friends and family, and your business will grow in that as well.
Yeah. So you touched on like your sphere of influence. Everybody talks about that. Everybody at least talks about it. Any specifics as far as when you were getting started, or even now, like staying in touch or growing that sphere?
Yeah. So initially I joined, both of the girls who I worked with on the team, both of the seasoned agents who were the head of our team, they each were in a BNI group, which is Business Networking International, I think is what it stands for. And so there are those groups, and it's not just BNI, there are networking groups that are professional groups that are all over cities, that you can look into being a part of. So that was a really big part for me. Like I joined one eventually, but I was a guest at their switching back. They were each in a different one, which was really cool. And it was something I've taken with me. I'm not in one right now, but I saw how they kind of did that, and they each had their own sphere in that regard. Because everybody knows a real estate agent, let's be honest, and everybody's friend or family member is probably a real estate agent too. So
Doesn't mean they use them, right?
That's right. Some people are very don't want to do that. I think just intentionally like looking for networks that you can be a part of, or just even attending events, meeting people, growing your sphere in that way. Of course, you have a sphere you've had probably since you were a kid, and especially in New Orleans, and you're back here, and a lot of your friends you went to high school with are here. So that was just a matter of contacting everybody in my cell phone is kind of what I did. I just went through and just called or both, or sent a text and said, hey, I just want to let you know I'm in the real estate business now. If your little blurb that you say about yourself, to kind of just let everybody know. And so, initially that's what I did. I just tried to meet people, other people in the business, and then also just complete strangers that were, and when you're in a BNI or something like that, you meet people who are like Cameron, a lender, or an inspector. It's really important as an agent to start to grow your, like, I would say your team, like your real estate professional team, which Cameron, you're a real estate professional, whether you know it or not, because you're our lender. And so, a title company. So it's really good to early on kind of start getting those relationships and finding that out, because it just makes you more of the real estate professional for the people who are asking you questions and looking for, good advice.
Yeah. Insurance agents, we can't have enough of them right now.
That's right.
All right. So you touched on this as far as like you focused on the buying side initially. Now, as you stay in the market with buyers and we talk about the listing side of things, like how do you manage to like stay on top of the trends in the market, or stay on top of like the relevant information for both the buyers and the sellers in the market?
Mm-hmm. I try to keep myself educated on, like, I check out different seminars, classes, things that come along. And like, there's one coming up. Just in our little New Orleans market, short-term rental stuff is so crazy and volatile and changes all the time. So, certain trends in our area, I think it's important to be knowledgeable of. And so anytime there's like a a title company or, another real estate office or whatever it might be that's having a seminar or a speaker come in. I just think it's important to stay educated on all of those topics because people are talking about it. There's a lot of little buzzwords, and if they ask you what's going on, what's the market like, and that for you to actually be able to give an answer that provides them that is valuable to them instead of just like, oh, it's crazy, or whatever. I think that is, that's been the most important thing for me. And my office, I mean, we do a really good job of just, our training is really good about staying on top of all those topics, having people come in. Insurance, huge. So I just think education is such an important key. And not just with, people that aren't, agents too, like talk to other agents. We're all in this together, really. I mean,
Yeah.
Yes, we compete in a way, but like if our mindset is more like, we're all in this together, we all have the same goals in mind, we all want to help our clients, then working with those agents and being able to communicate and find out, what are they seeing too, and just to kind of have a well-rounded view of the market and the city.
I feel like having that sphere of agents with you, whether it's in the same brokerage or it's not, probably a little bit of both. I feel like that's helpful from y'all side of things too. Like y'all have those conversations. What are you seeing, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, let's kind of on the competitive side of things, like what do you do or what have you done to adapt given the market that we're in, a high rate, high insurance premium market? Like what are you doing to adapt or what have you done to help in this market? Because I mean, the way we look at it from my side is like, this is our market. It's just imagine that it's going to be here for the next 10 years, whether it is
Right.
or it isn't, you can't really control that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, well, I'll just say I'll back up and just say like over the years, I've tried a lot of things to like market and stay in front of people and just to make sure people know what I do. And so I've tried like direct mailers, I've done radio ads, I've done lots of little things like that I didn't really notice necessarily a return on those things. Like nobody called me and was like, hey, I heard your ad on the radio and I wanted you to list my house or something like that.
Yeah.
So, but I will say one of the things over like COVID time and even into now that I think and I'm 43. And so like social media stuff for me is like a learning experience. And so I just started getting on social media and creating videos and just putting it out there. I came up with this like 2 things Tuesday, 3 things Thursday thing that I did every week. And I just provided like a market because people were so confused during that and wondering what was going to happen with real estate. And so I just showed people every week, like what it was doing. But then I also just gave them information. I mean, even if it was just something silly and not always directly real estate related. And I mean, I was of course super busy and we all were, I think, for that 2020, 2021. Last year was, I mean, kind of, we came back to a more, say normal, meaning like the transactionally, I guess, numbers we're doing are more normal now than COVID timeframe. But, it's just weird. It's not the same. It's the weirdest, it's the most strange thing I've seen in 7 years, but so, I mean, again, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I really think that especially now, staying educated with what is going on in the insurance market, in the, short-term rental market here, in the, just looking at sitting at home or in front of your computer, wherever you might be, and just checking out the market in all these different areas. Because honestly, area to area, things right now are just so strange, kind of
hypersensitive.
Yeah, and I mean, we're seeing multiple offers on some properties that are listed, and some are sitting for 30 plus days, and people are like, "What's wrong with the house?" Nothing, So it's just an odd, but just knowing your market and being able to in all the different areas. And New Orleans is so strange because, I mean, it really is like a few streets by a few streets, you know, can be different. So just being that knowledgeable professional so that when people ask you questions, you're just able to provide value to them and answer their question in a way that they're like, oh, that's really good. That's really cool. So I would just say, now I think it's just important that we stay on top of all of those, changing volatile pieces of the business and understand what's going on and not overstep our bounds. This is important, I think, because, we're trained in so many things. We kind of feel like I just took my broker exam recently, and you really do kind of have to know a little about a lot of things. And I feel like, we may get questions that are best answered by our lender or our title attorney or someone like that. So keeping those relationships, intact and good, and having like, it's okay to tell people, I don't know, let me ask my lender, or that's a better question for this person in the business. I mean,
right.
We don't want to overstep our bounds and, and give advice or give answers to something that we know a little about and we've had a lot of experience with probably, but it's not necessarily our wheelhouse to be.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really important too. Because
Everybody has a profession, right?
Yeah.
Well, so you recently got your broker's license, right? Mm-hmm. And so what brokerage are you with right now?
Entablature Realty.
Tell me what made you explain them, I guess is the question, or what made you select Entablature?
Yeah, so I had been with a larger brokerage prior, and for 5 years, and it was great. My business was going well. I liked all my fellow agents. The office was great. I decided to work on my broker license when things got slow last year, because I was kind of like now or never. And
that makes sense.
Yeah, and you only have to be in the business 4 years to then do your broker classes. Used to be 5 years when I first started. So just a little plug for anybody who's, do it. Say do it. But so as I was in the middle of getting my broker license, I worked a transaction with one of Entablature agents, but also one of the co-owners of Entablature Realty, Francesca Brennan. And she and I it was a pretty involved, a little bit difficult transaction along the way. Not the people, just the scenario, just the whole thing was just.
We don't have any of those right now.
No, nobody has those. And so her and I just worked really, really well together to get to the finish line. Everybody had the same goal. We helped our clients. We stayed true and we stayed loyal to our clients, but we worked together. And just in the midst of all that, we talked a lot, and she started telling me about her brokerage. And since I was doing my broker license, I was also kind of like thinking, if I'm going to make a change to something different, then now's a good time to do it. Like just make the whole transition in one fell swoop. Right. So I, just talked to her, and I was kind of thinking, I was on the team and I was with a larger named brokerage, and then I was switched to the other brokerage that I was with. I was also a big name, worldwide name. And I never considered really a small boutique kind of brokerage like NOLA, local thing. And so that's what Entablature Realty is. We have 12 agents right now, and we have an owner and a co-owner. We have co-owners, and Francesca is in the field with us, like in the trenches with us. She is a practicing super, successful agent. She's been in the business longer than me, so that's another it's kind of like I have her that I look to for things she's more experienced. So I have that. And then she's sitting there face to face in our meetings weekly. And so just the more we talked, we are a Zillow Flex Premier agent. brokerage, which means like we have these incredible Zillow leads and this incredible referral relationship with Zillow that is not, a lot of people don't have that capability. And so that was something that really was speaking to me at the time, because my personal sphere was very slow last year and things were, and I was like, man, I was trying to figure out, I was kind of spinning my wheels, trying to figure out where do I want to put my money and my energy into pursuing to get some new leads, some people that I would never meet, or, networks I would never be in. And so I thought was a super valuable resource. And so they have that. And then just as I sat and talked to them more and more, the systems that we have in place, everything is geared towards making agents' lives easier and our business more efficient and easy, as far as like how we can run our business efficiently. And, that's all of our systems are, and that's what the ownership and the leadership care about. And that's what we pursue. So when I joined, they also had a need for a broker, not a sponsoring broker, but and it's like an associate broker kind of position to take. We have a training manager who handles like so much, and then now we have myself. And so I got to join the leadership team right off the bat, which was cool for me because they had a need for something that I could fill, and I felt I could be a valuable asset and part of that that brokerage. So it's been great. And I really honestly had no idea the whole gamut of like system, like the things that they, and the, everything that they have in place that is helping me so much.
And this might lead into, I've got 2 more questions for you. I'm trying to keep this section like 30 minutes, and then we'll open it up for if anybody has any questions, like a little Q&A session. But so this leads into our next of 2 questions. Okay. So you've got these systems that you're able to use. Now describe your work-life balance and how you manage that for yourself. I mean, and the answer might be, look, I don't have one, but describe how yours is currently and like what you do for that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not the best at this. Honestly, I should take classes on this all the time, but so, and I have kids, my kids' ages, it's like our phase, they're constantly changing into different phases of life. So things are about to change again for me. So I would say, I'm not a good time blocker. I'm not, but I try my best, and I like the idea of being able to move my schedule and to be flexible if I need to be. So, I try to set a schedule where I, like say we have an office meeting at 9:30 on Tuesday. Well, that's like, okay, I'm going to take care of the things I need to take care of at home and get ready. And I'm going to go to that meeting, and then I'm going to be, this is my time and I'm going to stay at the office, and I'm going to work and make my appointments off of that and be back home. Always say I'm going back to my real job when I have to leave and go pick up kids and go home and stuff like that. So, I mean, I just think it's important. You have to be intentional with your time, and you have to not necessarily be a hardcore time blocker if you can't, like if your life doesn't allow for that and you have to change plans a lot, but just having something in place like a skeleton is helpful, because then the things that if you prioritize it, you're going to do them. You may have to move them around a little bit, but it's going to get done. And so I make like checklists like crazy. Someone once said too, and this is something I've held on to, I can't even remember who said it or what book it's from. Y'all probably know, but it's basically like what you do now, you will see the results of in like 6 months from now. And so I always try to keep that in the back of my mind. Like, I need to be contacting past clients. I need to be staying on top of all my leads. I need to be reaching out, and whatever that might look like, it's different for everybody. But I know the times where I've kind of been more lax about all of that. And then, I look at my pipeline and I'm like, oh, it's me. Like I didn't, I let, I kind of let that stuff go, and I got really busy with other things and put other things. And so I think it's just important. It's like real estate is a full-time job, and whether or not that looks like a normal 20-hour, whatever, or 40-hour, what that might look like. It's just, you can make yourself available to your clients, and you can be a good mom or a good wife and get things taken care of. But it's hard. I think you're just trying to like balance all of that. But yeah, I don't know. I think it looks different for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, last question for you. Kind of your biggest piece of advice for anybody working in our market. What's your just one go-to point?
I guess I would say stay educated, communicate. So I'm gonna have 3 things. Keep yourself educated, communicate with everyone. Like, that is so important. I haven't even said that, but that is huge. Excuse me. And then don't work out of a place of desperation, if that makes sense. Like, I think people that you're helping can tell when you are feeling like, I really need this to close, like I really need this sale kind of thing, where even if that is how you feel, just keep your mindset in a good place, and keep your, we are helping people achieve something, and they are trusting you to get them there, or they wouldn't have asked for your help. And so just doing everything you can to work on their behalf and to get to that end goal, and then everyone is happy and satisfied and at that point. So I think, we up and down with our market, right? And we may be slow, but just keep it in mind, like what we're supposed to be doing and what our job is really about. And
yeah, no, I think that's good advice. It's great advice. And it's seasonal. Like our business, it's 100% seasonal. So it feels like a roller coaster, but that's the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, look, I am going to kind of open it up. I know everybody's on mute, and I know we have like a good range of people on the call here. So I'll open it up. If you want to ask Kelly any questions, it can be specific to her strategies or your advice, or just anything in general. We'll just go ahead and open it up and see if anybody has any questions.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Megan.
Hi, Megan.
My question to you is, do you find like social media really, really lucrative for you with like getting clients, or just do you have people that are more so looking at your social media instead of engaging with you?
That's a good question. I'd say both. I don't get a ton of clients that I hear say like, hey, I just found you on social media, but I do. And people won't always tell you like, hey, I watched your video and it was really helpful. Like, you're not always going to get that feedback, but I do think just putting helpful content out there consistently I think it still has helped my business, whether people have actually commented that or told me that. But I will say too, something I've done is I've kind of gotten in a few Facebook groups of agents that are located all over the United States, certainly maybe even the world. And I've gotten some clients. I mean, New Orleans is a cool place that a lot of people want to live. And so if you kind of grow your network all in that way, I've had people reach out and say, a lot of times people are like, I'm looking for an agent in New Orleans, and they'll put it out there. And like, I have people in the group who know me who will tag me, and then I see it, or I'll see it myself and comment. And there might be 65 comments saying me. I mean, but I have gotten some clients from that where, you know, you never know what the agent is like looking at or looking for. I've actually Googled that agent and then found their cell phone number and texted them or called them and said like, hey, instead of just responding on Facebook, it's just I've just kind of connected that way. And then I've had a few clients come from that have moved into New Orleans. And I would say, like, if you work for a big brokerage and you have like big conventions, going to those, I mean, this is stepping out of the social media thing, I'm sorry, but I would say just keeping in that vein of connecting with agents that are not just local here, but all over is really, really important, because people look for referrals, or you can give referrals out as well that way. So, but joining other groups, even though you might think it's like some futile attempt of like putting your name out there and saying, hey, I'm in New Orleans or whatever. I mean, you never know. And I've had people reach back from that directly. So I don't think it hurts. I don't think social media, I don't think anybody would say like, man, that was not a good move. You know, I can't always say that I get a ton of return from it that I know of, but I don't think it would hurt. I don't think it hurts.
Well, and it's also free, right? Like you
Exactly.
do direct mailers, like you're spending money to put it together, to mail it out, like for all of that. Social media is free.
Exactly.
You know, and Meg, I feel like it's branding yourself, staying top of mind with everybody, like anybody who follows you, all my friends, family, coworkers, like everybody, they're gonna know that I'm in the business because, you know, I'm posting about it. I can't say they're hitting me in my DMs, hey, I need a loan, but it's that branding, it's that brand awareness, I guess, what I'm trying to say. That where I find that it's been helpful.
Yeah, I'm still working on that.
Yeah.
The process. Thank you.
Cool. Anybody else? Anything else?
Oh, y'all are easy.
Yeah, you got off easy today, Kelly.
I heard talking.
Well, what I will do, I'm gonna go ahead and close it out. Kelly, thanks again for stepping on. Like I said, this is our first we're gonna try to do a series of these. So if you want to come back for the next one, there's gonna be some nuggets in every single one of these. Kelly, I have a list that I have here of nuggets that we'll put together, key takeaways for us. So that was good. But from there, thank y'all for stepping on. Y'all need anything, I know you can get Kelly's number from the MLS or anything, and y'all have my information too. So
yeah,
thank y'all again.
A new place to call home.
Yes.
Definitely reach out. I'd love to meet, have lunch with you, and tell you what we're all about at Entablature for sure. And just pick your brain, even if it's just to hang out and talk. I'm open to meeting everybody and forming new relationships with agents. So I love this, and I appreciate all y'all for coming on.
Yeah, well, everybody, good start to the weekend. We're not into it yet, but y'all take care. Talk to y'all soon. Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, y'all.